Hello, everybody. Welcome to part one in new functionalities of SolidCAM 2024. We are going to start this webinar series. And Emil, would you like to say a few words now?
Yes. Well, welcome all of you. A lot of people have registered and they are still coming in. We have now 160 attendees already. So it seems everybody is excited by SolidCAM 2024. And as I said in my email, in about 1 week, we are releasing SolidCAM 2024 SP2 version. And this version is ready for all of you and also for our customers who are on subscription. Obviously, you decide when you will give it to your customers. Every country may have different processes. Like in Germany, they have a more solid process. Other countries have a shorter process. It's up to you. But I could promise you that this version is one of our most checked versions we ever had. And we did it in a very stable and organized manner. So you could be confident that if you give it to your customers, they will enjoy the new functionalities and don't suffer from any problems. Daniel, go ahead.
Thank you, Emil. Thank you. All right, as Emil said, this part one is going to be all new functionalities that we have added inside the toolkit, inside machine setup, MCOs, a little bit in job. And also we are going to, at the end of this webinar, show a couple of new things that we have added inside the post-processors. And even though that I built nice presentation about it, you're all going to get a presentation, but I decided that to show all of these nice features through the practical examples, showing it inside the software itself. Over here, I started with the Swiss type part, but in this case, it really doesn't matter. The first feature that I want to show you will be all connected to a toolkit itself. And let me open the toolkit. So it's the Swiss type machine, and it's the Swiss type part. Let me just introduce you a little bit with the kinematic of this. I'm very excited about to show you this 3-channel Swiss type. I call it monster, as it has linear gang over here. So let me just show you a couple of movements here so you can also feel it a little bit, the machine. It has also another turret, which is a revolver. And what is very unique on this, I would say also among all Swiss type machine manufacturers, is that this B-axis it has the B-axis on the revolver. Not very often you can see it on Swiss type machines. And this is a 2nd channel, and also on the 3rd channel, there is the sub-spindle with a linear gang also over here. So the first feature that I want to show you is related to picking on 3D model directly in the machine preview or tool viewer. So what is all about? I'm very often defining components. Either that's a holder, that's a fixture, tools, shanks, all these components inside the toolkit. I like to see them in machine preview realistically, and to define the joints, their positions. Usually we were doing it through the coordinate systems, importing it, defining it manually, and not anymore. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm doing it in this way. So let me see, over here I have the very first empty station on which I'm going to define one holder. So it's very easy to find it. It's this 21st station, and I'm just going to add a simple holder to it. There we go, it's nothing there because it is automatically selected as a 3D model. And I'm going to pick one 3D holder here. It will be here, revolver. Let me find it. It will be double front driller. I'm going to open it. There you go. I can now close machine preview and open the tool viewer. So here it is. It looks like so. What is very nice about this holder is it has 2 positions where you can put your drills and mills, milling tools. And for this, I will define my joints. It is a necessary process if you want really to have 2 cutters attached to this holder. So let's see what are the steps. So very first change is that we have added this icons over here that where it can easily show or hide every joint that you define. So for this, I'm going to define my very first one. It will be the PA1. And it will be not the cell drive, but it will be a gear itself. I will leave all the data inside. Let me just put this to 8,000, for instance. And something, let me just see it. I feel it like it's just like it. So just give me a second. I'm going to reopen the toolkit. There you go. Okay, so the what is all about? As you can see, we do have our coordinate system. This coordinate system, it's also a coordinate system of our station. And what is now the trick? The trick is to place this coordinate system also on the first station and also to move it and shift it on another. This was usually done through using the coordinate system, this icon over here, or just manually written here, right? But now you don't have to do it anymore. So I'm going to define my first point along the X first, and then along the Z axis as well. So what is enough to do is just picking on the X. I'm going to pick on the X, and you can just go directly to the 3D model, and it will be shifted. Then I'm going to click on along the Z, and there I go, easy. I need to define another one, so I can just copy this one, paste. You can see that the correct number is already assigned, and I'm going to just shift it along the Z axis. I don't need to perform it anymore through the X, but Z is just enough. And there you go. What is different now is that we need to change the orientation of our coordinate system. And similar behavior we also have for our rotations. Now, this is just to not make some confusion to you. You can only make one rotation you can decide which orientation for which axis that would be. And we're going to calculate the proper angles among all of these three fields. So I'm interested in my Z vector to change it. And if I click on this, I'm going to click on normal to this, and he's going to flip it. So pay attention, if I'm going to repeat the same process and click on the same normal, we're going to invert our Z axis. So I want to do it again. And now this is a proper orientation and location of my joints that I wanted to define. Right, and now I can hide one or two, or I can hide both. It's very convenient, especially when you have like gang tools, you have 3 chisel holders, when you have a lot of coordinate systems in the graphic and you want to get rid of it and to be focused only on a particular one. This is very handy. It becomes very handy. Right. Now, once I define this component, I want to show you one small but very powerful properties. So over here, for each component, regardless if that's a holder or it's a cutter or a fixture, we added here in the properties page, we add manufacturer and also manufacturer catalog number. You can go over here and find any in the list, or you can just simply type the name that you would like to be. So it doesn't have to be really in the list. These are like predefined, but you can write your own if you didn't found it in that list. You can also type any number, and these are the 2 fields that we have added. This is going to dramatically improve the way how you organize your components inside the toolkit, but also make life easier when you're using a searching. So if you go over here in the search, you're going to find advanced search. And when you open it, if you're looking for the holders, you can find for the manufacturer name, you can just type SolidCAM here, and it will be listed, the one exactly that we have defined. So a whole another level of searching, a whole another level of properties for the particular component, but also what is interesting about these 2 components that it can be also printed inside the setup sheet. Right. Next feature is about custom color. What I mean about it, it's about toolpath color itself. You will be able to find it inside the view, and you can find here the settings itself. You have here a new field, which is called toolpath color, and I use it as checked, but you can uncheck it. By default, it's coming as unchecked. For every of these fields that you can see, you have all the tools, either that it's a milling, turning, drilling tool, or special tools or cutters. You can predefine the colors that you would like to be used. And I think that's very, very handy. You can predefine for all colors, save it, and use it from version to version, the same settings. So I'm going to use it over here. You can always change it, save and exit, and those every time when you create a new end mill, it's going to populate this and it will override the colors. I see already a question. Our manufacturer and catalog number can be used within the GPP? Yes, it can be. Another question is coming. Okay, I'm going to answer these questions actually at the end of the webinar. I think it will be better. So let's continue. Yeah, very small but handy feature is going to be, let me just save and exit for the toolkit. And in the previous versions of SolidCAM, in the time when we didn't have a toolkit, there was a very handy feature that we bring it back to a toolkit as well when your jobs are suppressed. And when the jobs are suppressed, this is highlighted inside the tool table. So the tools that are highlighted means that these are used in the jobs that are actually suppressed. And what I have here is a list of jobs, a lot of them. And over here, I have the tool number 31 that is only used, and it's used in 4-axis simultaneously job. And I can also extend this by adding this to be suppressed. So I'm going to suppress this job. Let me go back inside the toolkit. Right, so you can be focused on this list over here at the bottom. And over here, I can go to the view and settings. So you have a new feature here, highlight tools used by suppressed jobs. So if you highlight this one and click save and exit, did I? Yes, I did. Save and exit. I think you need to save and exit and open it. You're going to see that these tools like 15 and 16, they are kind of gray, right? And also the tool number 31, it also becomes a grayish as well. And by this, you can know that these tools are there, they are used, but those tools are used in suppressed jobs. Yeah, a couple of there things. Be aware that these settings for very huge databases, it can slow down the toolkit performance. So use it optimally, right? Okay, next feature that I would like to show you is regarding to the machine setup. Inside the machine setup, from now on, we can use equations in these fields. This is very handy, especially for the part position locations. As you can, for instance, if you have here, my part is 50, and in Swiss type machines, pretty handy. It can be to calculate what will be your Z1 chucker position. And in that case, for example, I have the length of my part, it's 50, so I can say 50 plus, you can put also the allowance on the main spindle, sub spindle side, and I can put the surplus for the bar, and there you go. So I calculate my necessary chucker position for machining of this part. Quite handy. These equations you can use among any field, either on the fixture page or on the part page itself. The next feature, it's a feature that I found it very useful. It is regarding to the MCOs itself. And I have it, there are many examples where this can be used, but most of them I would use it in part transfer. And over here I have the moment where I want to make a part transfer with my sub spindle. I want to pick my part, and here is how this MCO looks like. I'll open my machine preview. Okay, so as you can see, my tool, my part, everything is ready for pick up position. And over here I have my back spindle approach, and also I have my clamp position. So let's see what is inside. I'll go to the movement. I go 25. Now what you can see, this is a little bit different than in comparing to previous versions. For now, we are showing the point or reference point on the table, which is relevant for the part transfer when you are using the part mode. And this value over here that you can see, it's really 25 millimeters from the face of the part. Now you can change the values and etc. That's reasonable. Now over here I have my clamp position, and this goes according to my setup location, and there you go. So this is my real setup location. Now what is the new feature about? So before showing you this feature, I want to show you where this has the biggest practice. And very often on Swiss type machines, you are going to use, for very small parts, you're going to use extension collets. For everyone, you know, this is very commonly used on sub spindle. So I'm going to define my extension collet on my sub spindle and show you this feature inside the MCO. I'll go to the ToolKit and I'll define my fixture. As you can see, I have the fixture for the main spindle, and this one it's for the sub spindle. I'm just going to drag and drop to my sub spindle. I'm going to say this is extension collet, and it will be 20. My component, I'm going to open one that I have in my database, and I'm going to pick this one over here. Perfect. Let me show you how this looks like. It is, as you can see here. And the last step before I start using it, I will just create a part mounting position where it will not be on the face of the spindle, but more rather I'm going to shift it over here. As you can see, it's exactly 20 millimeters in front. Right. I have found it inside my toolkit, but I haven't selected inside my setup. So I'm going to go inside my setup, go to my sub spindle, and just pick my predefined collet. I'll just double check my machine preview inside setup. So you can see how this looks like. Exactly the same clamping position, just it is extended for 20 millimeters. I'm going to save and exit. Now, of course, because we changed the fixture, these jobs have to be recalculated, especially for the turning one. It's going to be fast in very few moments. We're going to jump inside the MCO. Now, what is all about this? Whenever you define extension collet, depending from machine brand, whether that it's a Citizen, Star, Tornos, they do have these extension collets are not calculated points on the machine, meaning they are every time when you make a part transfer, they are considering that face of the spindle is a relevant point for the part transfer. And in the time when you are using the extension collet, if you didn't say to controller that, hey, I'm using the extension collet either through the G code or through the controller itself, you are going to crash a machine. So this is extremely important. And we do have now, if I just jump now on the part transfer routine that I have over here, you can see that nothing's changed. All my movement, they're still there. But now I have a possibility for the first time to change my reference point that is here from here to one in the front. You can click on this device. This option is located over here, and here we have my reference point. By default, it's always device coordinate system, but you can change to the one that you want. So we have the station coordinate system as well. We have the calculated fixture Z minimum and also the maximum. This fixture Z minimum or maximum, it's based on whether the orientation of the back spindle coordinate system is to the right or to the left. So in this case, I want to use this one, which is the max, and always for subspindle will be maximum, right? Once this is used, no other movements I have to perform. 25 will still be the 25, but now our point is over here. So now I can change this to more safety value, no problem at all. The same thing is also for the clamp position, as I can go to my movement and my setup location is now updated. You can see that it's the value previously was 40, now it's -20, very perfect, everything is the same. But now is the different because now I can generate a G-code. A little bit about the post processors, of course. I think it's very important. I'm going to jump into Z4 approach. So Z4 approach, and this is my object. And over here, I have my reference point shift. And this is the value that you can use, whether in the macro or the cycle provided by the manufacturer and etc. Also for various checkings inside the post. So very, very nice and very, very convenient. Good. I don't want to stop here because this feature is so nice. I found it very practical in Milter machines, especially for the chucks, collets there as well. So let me close this project over here, and I'm going to open the Milter project. Now, before opening a Milter project, I want to show you another feature inside the toolkit. I couldn't show it till this moment, and you probably remember that I have worked on two components in this part, right? So we defined one holder in station 21, and also we added one extension collet to it, right? But this definition was executed on the level of part toolkit. Everything related to a part. It is not in my vault. It is not in my database that is on the lower level. And in previous versions of SolidCAM, we were never able to downgrade from higher hierarchy position of our library to a lower level. And now this is possible. So let me show you what I did. I want to pull some of my components that I defined in that project. I want to pull it into my vault. So I'll go to SolidCAM toolkit. I'm going to edit my tool components library. I will load my Tornos, TLV. I'm going to expand all of these. And let me just, for instance, here, I don't know, I'll create a folder like new holder. And maybe here I'm going to create extension collets. Right. So let's pull out this feature. So I will just go to library. I have PF21. I can now drag and drop. It's there. And I have also my fixture. No problem. I can do it with the fixture as well. I can just drag and drop over here and it's done. So now for the first time, you can also from the higher level of library go to the lower level of library. And the benefit of doing it in this way is that you are not losing a time that you need to define something inside the vault, and therefore you need to close your project, do it there, then open the project. But you can actually continue defining any of your components on the part level, and then later you can just pull it out into your library anytime when it's more convenient to you. Okay, I'm going to save this. I'm fine. And let me just open now a Milter project. Let's back to this preposition. I want to show a couple of more things there. This is the classic part. I can see many questions. Okay, I will go through the questions later, but for now, just for all of you to know, yes, all the presentation parts will be included in this webinar. So I'm going to send it to you after for sure. Okay, so I have here this Milton project. Let me show you just quickly what is machine about. It's a Mazak, I'll call it already classic 2-channel machine with a B-axis. I'm using here the 10-inch chuck here. On the right side, I'm using the 8-inch chuck. And what is very important, I'm just going to highlight where is my mounting point. I set it here, okay? Perfect. Now let's go and jump into my part transfer. I'm going to open it, open machine preview. Let me just move it on the top, right? Perfect. So I have a situation, pretty much classic. I prepared my part for the cutoff in the time when I want to pull it, and I want to use my sub spindle. Now, classic example, the way how you were doing this is by using home reference values of the linear on the sub spindle. Usually G53, go with the rapid, then go slower, and etc. So you can see it also over here. So you have the movement, and movement is related to machine coordinate system of this W axis. It is called this in here. This is completely okay to do it in this way, yes. But if you want to be more accurate, you can put your reference point or point of interest on the chuck and use the part coordinate input for it. Today, SolidCAM can support both. So I have here the rapid preposition. I have my clamp position, and also I have my tool part position. So let's see how this works now when I do have my shifting coordinate system. So let me go to my device, and now instead of device coordinate system, I'm going to use a zoom in here, because on this machine, the coordinate system from this point, it goes over here like so. So this is the positive. And I'm going to take my fixture zoom in. And now I'm going to take the movement. And instead of machine mode, I can go to the part mode. And I can apply here. I just want to be 10 in front. There you go. Then I want to use my clamp position. I'm going to use the same. Movement, part mode, and set application. Everything is the same. Of course, any equations, relative mode, all supported. Next, very small feature that I want to show you here. As you can see here, we have the clamp position, right? And you can see that my jaws are in open position. And this was never shown nor supported inside the SolidCAM. So you can see that jaws are in open position. So now we can close the jaws, and the jaws will be closed. Of course, we have also open jaws. This is open jaw position. We can also show it over here. Let me go to the part. So this is open position, and we can also go to closed position. Now, very important detail. Opening values of jaws when they are open, you are defining this on toolkit level. So you go to the toolkit, you see your jaw opening position, the values that you see inside the quick axis, any value that you put here, we are considering this as open position. Anytime when you go inside a setup and you put your closed position or where you are going to clamp the part, this is a closed position of jaws axis. Perfect. Another nice feature that I want to show you is that not only zoom in and zoom out is supported, but user can anytime go to here in this case the back spindle, and I can open machine the tool preview, and instead of part mounting, I can define non-cutting point. And for the non-cutting point, for example, I can go minus 115, pardon, plus in this case. So I can go to plus 115. So this is completely user-defined point. If I have another jaw that is with multiple steps and I want to grab it, internal diameter, then probably most relevant point will not be the face of the fixture. Maybe it will be any other a component on the chuck. So now you can set the non-cutting point. And in the case of the non-cutting point, I can go again to the clamp position here, MCO. You go again to tool table. And this time, you have also non-cutting point. You're not limited to the number of non-cutting points. You can define them more, not only one, and just define them over here and use it for your part transfers. I really like this. It brings my part transfer to completely other level, and I hope you will like it. Okay, let me see what's next. This is good. Yes, I remember now. Okay, so as you saw, we have two chucks, main spindle, sub spindle here. And the next feature that I want to show you, it's related to job itself. So let me open I will start with the milling job. For example, this one from the face. I have here small pocket here. I'll open the job. So what we always had here on the top is to show visual tool, 3D tool inside SolidWorks environment. So you can move your mouse and you can see your tool itself. Now, very commonly in the time when when you're defining your project with fixtures that you're pulling from the toolkit library, in that case, you don't see fixtures. We are taking them into account, but you don't mostly, during the part programming, you don't see them. Now in 2024, we add here a new icon where it said visual fixture. And once you click it, you're going to be able to see it. Very convenient. You can't still select them like for the levels, okay? Still working on it, but it helps visually to predict where the fixture is located. You can avoid them. You can get the visual overview where these are and predict many things in ahead. Please be aware that once you turn them on, and if you leave your job and you open any other job, he's going to remember these settings and then show you in that position again. If you open a turning job, like I'm going to do it in this very first job, phase main spindle, this fixture is going to show in a revolved or envelope state. There you go. Kind of nice. And of course, very first opening, it's kind of, takes 1 or 2 seconds for that, but every time when you open it, the new job, then it will be instantly, as you can see. Okay, I hope you like these small here and there features that I've showed so far. And the last that I want to show you is features. Let me just see if this is all. Yeah, this will be all, I think, yes. The last feature is related to post-processors itself. Many of you are excited about it to see what we have built for the post-processor configurations. We are calling them VMID configurations. And for this example, I'm going to just minimize SolidCAM over here. And in invitation, in the picture, you probably have seen what it's all about. I want to show you one very simple example how you can make configurations from one post-processor and create more configurations of that. There are many examples when we needed this. One of the most practical example here I'm showing you in front of you is the Haas itself. I'm going to open a classic example of 3-axis Haas. Everybody knows this very first two SS fast spindle machine. It has the 3-axis, but additionally, I think it can come with 50 different other devices and configurations. And it is very important to manage somehow the configurations in a very quick manner. And for this, I'm having example where I have a simple 3-axis. I Over here, I have also the horizontal rotary table, 160, and also Turnian 2-axis rotary tables that has also the C and also A axis. So let me show you how you can do this very quickly with post-processor configurations. So for this example, I'm going to open the folder configurations. I have here prepared a classic scenario when you have one VMID, I have one GPP, and this over here, I have 3 machine simulations, 3D data that I just shown you over here in the background. They are prepared, just 3D models are inside and not finished machine simulation. And I'll try to give you an overview how configurations works step by step, every single feature that is available there. And let's see. So the very first question that's coming here, okay, how to allow configurations. Configurations is by default, every time when you open VMID, you're opening configurations VMID already. So let me show you what this is all about. So I'm going to double click on the VMID and click on SolidCAM 2024. But before, actually, I forgot one thing. Let me just load the SolidCAM settings of this folder. A couple of things will be better. Let me just move this. I'm on another screen, so you don't see. I'm changing just the settings. Actually, I don't have to load it. SolidWorks. Just a second, couple of more seconds, and yeah, I think it will be okay. So I will just open the VMID and select the 2024 version. And the very first thing that you can see is that we have, let me just move this to the left so you can see, and also VMID will be on the right. So you can also in parallel see what's going on behind the scenes. When you open the VMID, even if it's only the VMID, you can see the application of VMID doesn't exist anymore as that. But instead, we do have something that from now on, we're calling the VMC, Virtual Machine Configurator. What is the difference? You can basically see, hey, but Daniel, this is absolutely the same. Yes and no. The core of the VMID, it's still there. So nothing changed in the way how we are defining the things, kinematic, axis, limits, and etc. But what we have added is configuration manager and also a language manager. So what is all of these? So let's figure it out. If you have only one configuration and one language, we are not going to generate any VMC file for now. Even if it's VMC, and if I do 7 exit, you can see that still the extension becomes the VMID. We didn't change anything. The VMID is still there. But let me just do something else. So as you can see here, by default, this is set to a German language. I certainly left it like so, even though that everything, what you can see here is on English. I will just go to the machine definition and I'll change this and say, hey, but this is not German. Let's say this is my default, it's English. And if I do this and I save and exit, you can still see this is still VMID. Opening it again. So where the things is going. So I will go to configuration. So I'll click on this icon. And now you have this dialog in which you can easily create a new configuration or import already defined VMIDs. So we wanted to make it in such a manner where you can easily create a new configurations out of this, or if you already have existing customers with existing post-processor, you can import it and merge, or let's say marry this into a one group. So both options are available. So let me create new, and when I create new, the configuration is there. And what it is, it's basically a same copy of everything that you can see from the previous one. So you can create a new one, I can rename it, and this one will be horizontal 160, and this one over here will be turning rotatable 160. I made a mistake here. Okay, and I'll click OK. Nothing happens yet up until I see save. So before clicking on save, please pay attention what is happening here. Okay, and now this is something else. As you can see here, I'm going to remove these backups. I don't need them anymore. But what now happens? So at the moment when you have one or more configurations of the VMID, or in the case when you have more than one language, then we are going to create a VMC file with other VMIDs. All of these VMIDs are married, or let's say they are child of the VMC that is on the top. So easily this VMC can be called only Haas milling, for instance, and below they can be all other childs that includes the configuration, and they are managed through this configuration. So what is all about? So I'm going to leave this, and once I leave it, I save it and remove this. If I double click on any of these VMID, what will happen is that we are going to open the VMC itself. Or in other words, if I open the TRT 160, we're going to open also the Haas VF2, but with specific selected configuration. So the file here that you can see and the configuration it's selected. Okay, so let's play a little bit with this. So I will start with horizontal 160. And so what is all about? So the horizontal 160 is just one axis, a rotary axis, a axis in that case. So I'm going to create a new axis. This axis is A. I'm going to say that it's a linear, part of it's a rotary. My axis vector is along the x-axis. So I'll say negative x. Now I need to say the rotation point. Just let's do that very quickly. So I have it over here. Let me just quickly measure. I'll just XY plane. So let's take, come on, there we go. So it's 483. And also I'm going to take the center along the Y. It's here. Perfect. I'm going to move this to another screen, so not bother you. So the table I have, I'm going to move below A axis. And my A axis will be, in that case, minus 483. And also along the Y axis, it will be minus 216.844. Right. So what I can do? What is this configuration all about? I can go to, let's imagine that I have made a wrong definition of my min limit for this VF2. So instead of 508, let's say that the correct value was 518. And once I do that, I can now save this to among all the configurations. So that, but just by doing a right click, you have apply to all configurations. I'll just click on this. Now, if I go to any of these configurations over here, you can see that I don't have my A axis is available only in this configuration, while on all other, it is not. But still the Z axis, take that axis properties. Any axis properties that you put here, it is going to take that value. Now I say it's not 518, for this machine it's 38, but this is only not for all machines, but for specific configurations. So if I go to the apply to another configuration, this is what is happening. So he's asking me, hey, do you want to also apply this to this or that? Imagine that here you can have about 20, 30, maybe 50 configurations. Anything that you selected, you can save selection. So for the further use, for example, you want to modify not only the Z-axis limit over here, but maybe the X-axis, maybe you want to add drilling cycle. So you would like to save this selection, and for the next time when you're applying to specific configuration, some change, you want to load the last saved configuration. This is very convenient. And I'll just click for HR for TRT 160 and click OK. So 538, it's on this, on TRT, but not on the horizontal one. It's still minus 518. Very nice. I really like it. Oh, let's say, for example, let's do something else. Let's, for instance, for this machine, instead of Z-axis, that is, by the way, available on all 3 machines, let me change the name. So what will happen? I'll click, and SolidCAM is automatically going to pop up and say, hey, but this Z-axis is also found on other configurations. Do you want also to change the name in others or not? So can also do this selection and also change it there. I can say no. I can say cancel. I want to be only in this particular one. And if you go to other configuration, you can see that here the Z-axis is Z, and other it's Z2. Enough for the machine definition, but let's jump now to language manager. I like this. This is completely another level. I will go to language manager, and I see a question now that is very quick. How much? I see that. So what if I define here, for example, German, Danish, Czech, Chinese? If I click OK, how many of them will be saved? Only one. So if I now save, and even though that I have many languages, for every language, everything that is about the language and the language manager for each of these configurations, this is regardless, is going to save inside this VMC file. Where this plays a major role. Many times it happened to me, I define one post, and if I deliver it to any let's say I send it to Brazil. In Brazil, they change the language, but once you change the language, it's actually another VMID. Any changes that local customer did or distributor, what is going to happen, he cannot send me this because this is completely another ID of the VMID. I cannot reuse this VMID. With this language manager, we break this barrier. I don't care now if the VMID is defined in Germany, in Brazil, in United States, in Serbia, Italy, it's regardless. This connects all our countries into one. VMID can be used internationally, and that was the goal of this feature. Now let's play it so you can see a little bit what it's all about. So over here I do have an English. So let's switch to German, for instance. Let's change a couple of things. I don't know. I'll just change, for example, on the axis. I know this is the name. I can go to, for instance, let's do this. Why not? I'll go to Google Translation. I just take this and copy. You don't see it, it's another screen, so I can copy and save it. And once I save it, I can now switch to English, switch to German, and it's changing the UI for the user. But this is brilliant. Just imagine all the MCO cycles, every single parameter, regardless if that's machine options, milling options, MCO option, milling, drilling cycles, MCO parameters, submachines, everything that where you see this name, you can change the language for that particular item. Let's see another example here of changing this. So I'm going to add one drilling cycle. I added here, let me name it SolidCAM 83 or 2024. Let's do it. I'm going to add a parameter. Let's say dwell. and right-click, apply to all configurations. I can go back to any configuration. You can see the drilling cycle has been added. The same you have for deleting tool configurations or to specific configuration. This is also available. The same feature is also available when we're talking about the parameters. So for instance, you discovered how 4-axis helical arcs works on the particular machine, and you want to apply these changes among all post-processors in this group. You'll just go to parameter, change it, right-click, apply to all configurations, and that's done. That's basically it. Of course, the last thing before we go to questions, even if these are configurations, the idea is not that the single GPP is used, also single machine simulation is used. For every of these configurations of VMID, you can assign either the same GPP or different GPP. So when I'm going to post-processor, I can change the post-processor. If I go to the machine simulation, I can change machine simulation name. Last but not least, how to send the project to another colleague, to a customer, whether I'm sending it as a one configuration. What is happening if I just now take this VMID and copy it to another place? If I just physically copy this to any other place, it will open only one configuration. There's no configurations. It's just like a single VMID, simply as that. You can always send a couple of configurations if you want. I can go to the file, and here you have send to. I'll choose option of folder. And now SoCAM is going to ask which configurations among that there are defined you would like to export, and you say export all. So all of these is going to export into a one zip file. That's it. I hope you like it. In the future version, the idea is that we are going to have only one VMC file. That's what is going to be pushed. For now, we keep the VMID because of the transition, but the next step is that all of these, it's actually stored into one VMC file and everything is managed and configured there. I hope you enjoyed this webinar. I really enjoyed showing you all of these features, even though that I thought that it will be 30 minutes. Actually, it's 60 minutes already. So let's get through the most important questions. And the first question was about the toolkit settings. Question is coming from person who is asking, hey, I'm using SolidCAM 2023, and I would like to use the settings from toolkit settings. He have various of options there selected. Also, maybe for toolpath color. So what I'm talking about is this, probably these settings. So for the standard global SolidCAM settings, you probably know that you can save this configuration. While for this, where your tools and holders is located and all of this, once you install a new version of SolidCAM, this is going to all become a default, move to a default. So you can import any settings from previous version. So how to do that? I'm going to open Explorer. Let me close this. I'm going to open Explorer, and you can just go here and just go to the public, and you can look for the public documents. And further, you go to, I see. Then we will go to the SolidCAM, and I'm going to open this folder. So inside this folder, you're going to look for your specific version, regardless of which one you have. So let's imagine that I'm in 2023. So I will open the 2023. And here you are going to find this config file, config folder. Inside the config folder, you have here toolkit settings. So you can easily now take a copy, go to 2024, go to the config as well, and just paste it. And all the settings that you have used in 2023 is going to be used in that version. Small delta, I see small delta there, to not forget it, one detail. Here you have the tool type names. Very handy, I saw it, that many of you as a customer, you have your own tools. So for instance, I can add end mill for roughing, and you can also have for example, for finishing, and you want these to be for specific your applications and tool types, that's okay. But this list is not in that settings. If you want this settings, then this settings is located also in but tables, and you're going to find this user tool types.xml. Just copy it to a working directory of, so now in 2024, so it will be in 2023 here. Take it to tables, copy this, and move it to 2024. Reopen the SoCAM, and you got all your settings from ToolKit in previous version in 2024. 6, 7 questions more. Can be used inside the GPP. We answered that as well. Could you please explain? To explain the difference between the new custom toolpath call and colors in SolidCAM settings. It's the new custom toolpath colors are just the one that you can define inside the toolkit. I'm not aware that they are available in SolidCAM settings. So let's go to the next question. Okay, so questions coming like the feature that I show in the very beginning for picking and creating the joints. Is this also working same on the shanks? And yes, absolutely. Everywhere where you see joints involved, you can define and use this feature, absolutely. Is it possible to copy tools elements from vault to vault also? Yeah, that's a good question, from vault to vault. I think yes, why not? It should be possible. Let's just check it out. So just quickly. So I'll open the TLV, and I don't see the reason to not go to eSCAR. Yeah, you can do it. So regardless, you can do it, yes. Good question, it's coming. So during the MCOs, is it simulated revolving of the fixtures? I'm not sure about this. So I'll need to check it. And Matthias, I'm going to answer that also later. So many questions, really. Thousands of questions. Can we build MCO? Good question. Okay, so regarding to the configuration, I didn't show one thing. I think very good feature that I haven't mentioned. So you can technically, if you want, can take, for example, an axis. I think you can copy this axis, and you can go to any other configuration, just paste it. So this is kind of nice feature. And another question is coming, is it possible to define the MCOs across all? Yes. As you can see, there are so many questions regarding configurations. We're going to have a training about it, of course. This was just a demo. But basically, for the MCO cycles, yes, you can define the MCO cycles across all configurations. Yes, of course, if it's the same kinematic, we are checking if the kinematic is the same. But because I opened these configurations through the Explorer and not through the software, I'm available to just modify. I'm not able to modify the MCO cycle. Okay, we are working on this to allow it through the Explorer, but this is still not for the public. But what you should be aware is that MCO cycles, when you are defining them inside SolidCAM, while the SolidCAM is open, and when the specific configuration is loaded. So let's imagine that this is the configuration where my part is opened, and I can go inside. I can add the MCO cycles. I can add towards all other configurations, but I'm not allowed to switch to another configuration, saving at the exit, and use that configuration in that specific project. That is not going to allow you to do it. You will see once you will start to play with. Just a small aware for you. To have a single sentence. Yeah. So the question is, can we define the path of the toolkit settings? Yes, we are working on this. I also found out that I need the settings to be in a specific path and to have an export option, easy export option. For this, what I have demonstrated on this webinar is just under the hood how you can do it, manually. But in the future, we are going to improve this for sure. Nice presentations. Thank you, everybody. I really see also very positive comments. Gosh, so okay. There are so many questions. We could extend it, but I promise that for every one of these, I'm going to put you into an email and answer all your questions from this webinar. Thank you very much. The next week, there will be a part 2. Hope you enjoyed, and see you in the next one. Bye.
Thanks, Daniel. Okay.
Thanks, Emil. Bye.